Good morning, everybody. Hopefully you had a wonderful weekend. We'll go get started here. The last week's 5-2 tape breakdown. Understand and fix this one thing, and you'll make more money than you know what to do with. So make sure you go back and watch this, guys. This is an important lesson to learn with 5-2 system and how it works. Let's talk a little bit about what's going on with the market. So bearish divergences, the put-call ratio, which measures the ratio of bearish versus bullish options bets on the market, has fallen to a record 2-year lows repeatedly over the last several months. This reflects the fact that the speculative activity is the highest it's been ever been over this period as compared to the S&P. So, guys, what's happening to this divergence? Is that a good thing or a bad thing? It's a bad thing, exactly. And has it ever been larger? Has this gap ever been larger than it is right now? No. So, and this is showing you the difference between the equally weighted S&P 500 versus the S&P 500. So what the S&P 500 really, for all intents and purposes, is 90% what? 500 stocks? The S&P 500, for all intents and purposes, is 500 stocks right now, or is it how many? Yeah, 4 stocks, right, Nick? Just 4 stocks. So what's been happening to the S&P 500? The 500 stocks? Nothing. So again, divergence. The COVID triggers a record wave of U.S. corporate bankruptcies. And this is going to get better or worse, guys. I just saw that Yelp said now that 60% of all bankrupt businesses are gone just until things get better or forever? Forever. So, and the Fed says they're going to keep interest rates at zero for till 2023. Did they say? Well, that's good or bad, guys? Well, I guess it's good, except for one thing. Why is it bad? It's good and bad. It's good because, hopefully that'll help, but it's bad because what does it tell us about how much ammunition they have in their quiver right now? How many arrows do they have in their quiver? How much ammunition do they have in their none? That's a bad thing. Because will bad things happen between now and 2023, guys? And what do they have to throw at the market at this point? What's left to throw at the market at this point? Nothing. The image below shows the long-term historical real GDP growth rate in the U.S. So when has it been this low, guys? When has it been this low? How many years? By a little or by a lot? Look at that compared to 2008. Look at that compared to 2000. Look at that compared to the 80s and 70s. Dudes, not great. So NASDAQ is on its final run. It's going vertical at a classic end bubble move. Is Forbes pro stocks or anti stocks? And they're saying this is trader heaven turns into speculator hell for those who think the markets do grow to the skies. Because who's driving this market up right now, guys? Corporate institutional investors. Who's driving this market up right now? Institutional investors, money managers. Who's driving it up? Well, the Fed, I'd agree with that, but more likely the speculators. These guys on Robinhood, right? Corporate investors are not driving it up, guys. So we had many right answers here saying speculators, but Bob, you said corporate investors. They're not. Yeah, corporate is in cash. Institutional is in cash. They've been moving to cash for the last 6 months. They're letting these doughheads do what? Guys, what's the old adage? We don't have cabs anymore. We have Ubers. But the adage is when the cab driver starts giving you stock tips, it's time to what? Buy or get the heck out. And what's happening right now with all these Robinhood investors? They think they're what? The stupid guy that runs Barstool Sports on Instagram with a huge following, and all of his doughhead frat brothers, they're what? Thinking they're geniuses on Robinhood. The institutional investors are just waiting to capitalize on their idiocy. Does that make sense? So That's enough on the market. I'm just saying, guys, should we be out of the market? No. You should be at what? What should your clients be at? At least at what? If not more, they should be at what? At a minimum, how much should they be in the market? Yeah, 50-50. At the most, they should be 50% in the market. At the very, very, very most. And if they were in the market and they've seen this run up, now is the time to do what, guys? Hope for it to do this again? No, they didn't do what? Lock it in. Okay. So today's topic is this book, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a You-Know-What here. And he really makes a lot of great points about how we can run our lives better and how we can run our businesses better. So this is not talking about apathy, disinterest. So not giving a you-know-what is not about not caring. It's not about apathy. It's about prioritization and what you care about. So instead of caring about everything, you should what? Instead of caring about everything, you should what? Prioritize what you're going to care about. And we're going to see here why. So be flawsome. Be flawsome. Yeah, pick your battles. That's right, Nick. Be flawsome. An individual who embraces their flaws and knows they're awesome regardless. Guys, is anybody in this world perfect? No. But just because you're not perfect doesn't mean you can't be awesome. So first, don't be embarrassed of who you are. They're going to judge you no matter what you do. We saw last week that guy that was dancing up and down the stairs. I mean, look at that. As we said last week, how many people in that stadium, and even you, even on this phone call, how many of you guys thought that guy was awesome? He didn't care what anybody thought about him. He didn't care what anybody thought about him. He was dancing up and down. Now, was there one or two people that were embarrassed about what he was doing? Yeah. Should he care about the one or two people that were embarrassed about what he was doing, or should he embrace the 98% of people who thought what you're doing is awesome? Don't be embarrassed to be who you are. So what is something you care about that you know is not that important? So something happened to me yesterday that's going to cost me. I got somebody screwed me for about $100 yesterday, and I couldn't go to sleep all night long, tossing and turning about that SOB screwed me out of $100. Guys, is that important in my life? Yeah, life is way too short. Now, it does give us a lesson, though. It does give us a lesson. You know, the 5Q system works because we show people how they can save taxes, or because we show people how they're getting screwed from their current advisor. So, I mean, I'm a lesson on why the 5Q system works, is which I could not sleep last night because this person screwed me. You know, how am I going to get back at them and blah, 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 blah. So it makes you angry. But you know what? In the end, who's in control of my happiness? This person who screwed me for $100, or am I in control of my happiness? Yeah, I am. So think about this to yourself. What is something that you care about that you know is not that important? And then let it go. Just let it go. Now, hey, I'm the pot calling the kettle black. I just experienced this and got by in 4 hours of sleep because I couldn't do this. But I'm flossing, right? So that's a flaw that I have, that I'm judgmental and I hold grudges. So what should I do when I know that I'm that person? Kick myself because I'm that person, or what should I try to do? What should I try to do? Accept it and move on. Yeah, that's it. Right, David. Now, it is a good lesson, however, like I'm going to repeat this, it is a good lesson on when you do the 5Q system right. Yeah, that's even better. Be thankful. But it is a good lesson that when you do the system right, is it because you're giving people good ideas, or because you're having them understand their current advisor is taking advantage of them? Yeah, they understand the current advisor. And is that something that they're going to change advisors after vacation, or are they going to change advisors before vacation or during vacation, where they know their advisor is taking advantage of them, hiding things from them, what are they going to do? Wait until they get back from vacation? Because if they stay with that advisor during vacation, just like myself, what's going to happen to their vacation if they don't take care of it? And all of you at training, when you first came on, should have heard that tape of an actual advisor with the client. And do you remember what that client was asking the advisor? Can I move this while I'm on vacation? Can I move this while we're at Las Cruces? So how many of you have had, prior, I hope that you've had this happen with 5Q, but if you haven't had this happen, you will have it happen when you do the 5Q system right. The people will want to move their money now, whether they're going on vacation tomorrow or whether they're going on vacation, 6 months from now. Don't feel bad about feeling bad, okay? But just like myself, should I feel bad about being not in control of my emotions about this issue that happened yesterday? No, I should. As somebody here said earlier, I think David said, just accept it and move on. Okay, I felt bad. I got screwed, but then what? Stew on it or just move on? Don't feel bad about feeling bad. Feeling upset about where you are now only makes the problem worse. So that $100 that I got screwed, me fretting on it made the problem what? Better or worse? Worse. I get paid way more than $100 an hour. So should I be worried about it for more than an hour? No. And again, guys, the reason I'm sharing this is because I'm on the pot calling the kettle black. We all have flaws. We just need to what? Work on them daily. Just start the process of improving it. Just try to get a little bit better every day. Because here's the thing: when you start the process of improving it, what happens to you mentally? You know that garage. You know, when you want to clean the garage, this is a great example. Clean the garage or clean the basement. It's a pigsty, or it's just all cluttered, and you think, geez, I need to do that. And every time you walk by the garage, they drive the car, and somebody go downstairs and say, geez, I need to take care. And it stresses you out. It stresses you out, right? And do what? You know, it's like you tell your kids, should they put off their homework until Sunday night at 8 at night? When should they do their homework? Because if they don't do their homework on Friday, first thing, what's going to loom over them the entire weekend? See, there's something that happens to us when we just start the process of improving something. Just start the process of improving it. Now, here's a great thing that they talk about in the book. It's weird, and this was a light bulb moment for me. It's weird, but all problems seem to take up the same amount of space in our brains, whether it's a big problem, a medium problem, or a small problem. Is this $100 that I got screwed a big problem or a small problem? It's a small problem. But how much room is it taking up in my brain? It's encompassing it. It's weird that it doesn't matter how big the problem is. It's going to still, if you have a problem. So what do you think the lesson here with this is? If I'm going to be worried about a problem, what should I be worried about? If all problems, whether they're big, medium, or small, fill up my brain, that's right. I need to worry about the big problems, the things that will make a major impact in my life, not these small problems. Does that make sense? So you have a limited amount of, you know what? See, we only have so much, you know what, in our lives. So where should we spend that? If we're going to give a you know what, where should we spend that? On the small things or the big things? We don't have an unlimited of not giving a you know what. So we better spend that on the big things. Here's a great example of that. Anytime you see, I'm not a big fan of Mark Zuckerberg. I think he's a doughhead, and I'd like to put him on a boat and send him out into the ocean to think about things for about 10, 15 years. But he is successful. He is running a huge company that affects the world in an immense way. So where does he spend all his time and effort? worrying about what he's going to wear, or every time you see him, what does he look like? Same thing. Because you know what? He's only got a limited amount of you-know-what, so does he give a you-know-what about what he wears? Or does he just have a whole closet full of great T-shirts that he wears? And who else was just like that? So these guys, are they worried about what shoes they're wearing? Or do they say, you know what clothes are simply something that I have to have, so how much time and effort do I want to spend on it? So again, the point here is, you've only got so much time in it. Now, I would never dress like these two guys. I mean, I like to dress up. That's my thing. But they, I've chosen to give a you-know-what about that. It isn't because I think I have to. Does that make sense? I love this diagram. Do you have a problem in your life? No. Then what? If you don't have a problem in your life, then you shouldn't what? Worry. But many of us have problems in our life. So if we have a problem in our life, can we do something about it? If we can't do anything about the problem, what should we do, guys? Not worry. Don't worry. Now, here's the thing. Here's the confusing thing. If you can do something about it, yes, then you shouldn't worry either. Why shouldn't you worry about it if you can do something about the problem? Yeah, then do it. That's right, Tom. Then just fix it. So how much of our time should we be spent worrying? None, or very little. Because if you can't do anything about it, let it go. If you can do something about it, then do something about it and move on. Because doing something about it empowers us. It makes you feel better about yourself. Does that make sense? I love this diagram. We should all live. I would print this slide out. I would put it on the wall. In fact, I'm going to do that for myself. I'm going to print this slide, put it on my wall, and realize and look at it every day. Because this is how we should live our lives, isn't it? You're going to live a lot longer. Yeah, Mitzi, they're asking if they can get a copy of that. So can we just attach that to the coaching call, a copy of that slide?
Yep, I absolutely will.
Super. Here's another thing. The might-do list. So make a what I could do list. Then on that list, choose the one big thing that's important today, and then do what? Promise to do it or put it in your calendar. What did we talk about last week about putting it in the calendar? Schedule it. That's right, Nick. Schedule it. That's how I discipline myself, is I put things in the calendar. I don't count on myself to do something. I actually put it in my calendar. That's the way it gets done. See, activity does not necessarily equal progress. There's so many times, and Jeff, maybe you can get on here. So many times I hear guys say, you know, I don't have time to do that, or I'm too busy to do this, or I'm too busy to do my 15-minute drill. I'm too busy to send in the tapes. I'm too busy to study for the 21-point checklist. I'm too busy to study for the FIA. And when we talk to them, Jeff, are they writing $20, $25 million in business?
No, they're not.
So what's the discussion you have with somebody tells that you're too busy to do stuff, and you look and they're like, wow, they're not writing any business here, and you scratch your head. What's your discussion with them at that point?
Yeah, usually I ask them, what are you busy doing? And, they come up with things. And I say, well, how about this? Write the things down that you're busy doing that are keeping you from doing that. And then I want you to look at that list, and we can look at it together. But most of the time, when you really look at what you're doing and you see it in writing, you're like, oh, wow, that's sad.
And we all do it, right?
A haircut.
But how proud?
Yeah, we all do it.
Well, and how proud are they of the fact that they're that busy, though, at first?
Oh, they're very sincere, and they're very proud that, yeah, I'm really busy. My time is really valuable.
Yeah, I'm humping. I get home every night and I'm exhausted from all the work I'm doing, guys. And I've done something similar to what Jeff does. I say, let's do this. For the next week, I want you to write down. I know it's a pain in the butt, and I dare all of you guys, or I challenge all of you guys to do this for the next week. I know it's a pain. You don't have to do it forever. Just do it for 1 week. Write down just put a little timer on your desk, and at the top of the hour, put a timer on your computer. At the top of every hour, Write down what you did the past hour. Do that for 8 hours a day for 5 days, and what are you going to look at? When you look back at that list of things that you worked on hour by hour the past week, what are you going to say about the way you invested your time? Well spent? Or like Jeff said, oh, wow. See, you guys work hard. You are in charge of your own business. That's a big job. You're running your own company. And you all feel like you're working really hard, and you are. But you have to make sure you're what? Just being active? Just being busy? No. You have to make sure you're doing what? Progress equals happiness. Have I improved my business? Have I improved my skills? Have I improved my family life? Have I improved my happiness? Have I improved my health? Guys, at the end of the day, if you've improved your health 1%, have you accomplished something that day? Yeah. If you've accomplished, gotten 1% better relationship with your family, have you accomplished something? Yes. If got 1% better at your skills, yes. 1% better at your business, yes. But if you look at the end of that day and you didn't get 1% better at anything, you need to do what with your life? Reprioritize what you're spending all that time and effort on. Now, what if you're really super good at something? I've told you many times, when did I stop doing the 15-minute drill, guys? When did I personally stop doing the 15-minute drill? Never. That's right. Why? Why did I never? And do you really think anybody is better than me at that 15-minute drill? Better not be. I'm the one that developed it. But why do I keep doing it? That's right, Sue, because there's always room to improve. Just get 1% better constantly. Because there's an old saying, if you ain't getting better, you're what? If you're not getting better, you're what? You're getting worse. That's right. Do you know your values? What do you value? We're having a big conversation about this on the national platform right now about values, about being true to your word, about saying something and following through, about being not being saying one thing and doing another thing. We're having a big discussion on that on the political spectrum. I don't give a crap what anybody else does, though. Who should I be true to in my values? Who should I be honest with my values? When I show up at the pearly gates, should I have to explain myself over how I live my life by being convoluted and going on and on for 15 minutes? Or should I say, here, Lord, here's how I acted, judge me on that? Or should I have to explain myself? Should live your life how? If the Lord took you today, that you should have to explain yourself to the Lord, or say I was gonna, shoulda, woulda, or you should say, here's what I did. Know your values, live your values. What will you suffer for? One of the things I always think about is that all these people who come up with, jump through all sorts of hoops, explain to themselves why they believe what they believe. If you hooked them up to to an electric chair and started shocking them, how quickly would they change their values? If you put them on a lie detector, how quickly would it be discovered that they're saying one thing but they believe another thing? So what will I suffer for? Is that something that afterwards that I will be judged for, whether that will be a good thing or a bad thing? Here's a great thing he talked about business. Pick 4 to 6 key business metrics. Pick 4 to 6 key business metrics. The moment you can concentrate on just one of them, it will grow exponentially. So let's think about this. Start showing me some metrics that you could look at, guys. What are some business metrics you could look at? Things that you can measure. What are some things that you could look at in your business? Give me some. Start throwing them out here. Don't have to give me 6. Just throw out one. Revenue, yep, that's good. Communication skills, absolutely, that's good. What else? Leads generated, perfect. Help me, Ben, applications, what do you mean by applications? So answer that while I'm giving some of those. Conversion rates, that's a great metric. Appointments kept, great metric. Activity, great metric. Contacts per day or per week, awesome metric. Oh, learning the scripts better. Yeah, that's right, Ben. Yep, absolutely. 15-minute drill is a metric. Yeah, assets under management is a metric. Live application. Okay, being better at app. Oh, I see, Ben. Being better at an application. Yeah, that's it. Free cash flow. Gotcha. So these are all things. Should we have a list? His whole point here is pick the 4 to 6 that you think are important and then work on all 4 to 6 of them, or do what? Just work on one. You know, I saw a 5-year-old on Jimmy Kimmel, I think, or on Jimmy Kimmel, on whatever. I think it was Jimmy Kimmel, yeah. So he knew all of the countries. They put a globe up in front of him with none of the countries marked, and he could name, at 5 years old, could name every single country based on the shape. He could name every single capital of that country. And if you gave him the capital, he could name the country. Why can he do that and not you? Why can that? Now, first of all, that 5-year-old he's got a brain. I mean, he's obviously he's not the typical 5-year-old, but still, think back when you were 5 or when you were 10 years old. Why was he able to do it and we can't do it? Tom's got it. See if anybody else gets it. Dale's got it. Because he had how many things to focus on in his life? 1. Is he worried about COVID and how it's affecting his business? Is he worried about whether he's a Republican or a Democrat? Is he worried about global warming or there's no global warming? Is he worried about what he's going to eat tonight? He's worried about one thing, which is what? He's focused on one thing. That. So think about when you were a child, and I was for 2 years I was an expert on birds. That was my whole thing. Birds. Then I switched to the Civil War. So I knew all sorts of things about the Civil War. See, because it was the only thing as a child that I was worried about was that thing, and I just dove in and focused. And nobody could touch me on those topics during those 2 periods. Why? Because it's the only thing I worried about. So should you choose the 4 to 6 key business metrics or just one? Choose one, and it will grow exponentially. Pick the right thing to lose sleep over. Anxiety can make you successful if it creates action. Anxiety isn't bad. Stress is not bad if it's what? Applied to improvement. Take action and improve. Now, once you get awesome at one of these key metrics, you can do what? Once you get awesome at one of the key metrics, whatever you want to concentrate on, you can do what? Move on to another, right? Just move on to another. Here's a big one. Quit. You know what? Your time on Facebook, your time on Twitter, your time on YouTube, your time on LinkedIn, your time on everything, Instagram, all of those things should be what, guys? Your time on those things should be what? As well as looking at the news. Your time on those things should be what? Limited? Yeah, but how do we limit it? What's the best way to limit it? Here's how it's the only way I can make myself do this. I'm a news hound. Tom's got it. Schedule it. That's right, Dean. Put a time in your calendar. So I've got 15 minutes that I can look at the news during lunch. That's it. Otherwise, guess what I would do with every spare moment of time? I'd go to Google News. I'd go to my news feed. I'd go to Facebook. You go and you're constantly looking at it. What a waste of time. Schedule it. You should not be, you go down the rabbit hole. So also, when you look at these things, especially like Facebook, what are you always thinking about? Fear of missing out. Because in Facebook, what kind of life is everybody living on Facebook? Yes, perfection, fantasy. They're on vacation all the time, right? In a perfect relationship with their spouse, right? Their kids are perfect. All their kids are going to Ivy League schools and are getting Division I scholarships, right? Is that really how anybody is Facebook, the stuff they put on Facebook, really how anybody's living? Do they put the 1% of the good things in their life, or they put the 99% of the normal life, the ups and downs of life? But how does it make you feel when you see somebody's always on vacation? How does it make you feel when they're throwing their kids out? I mean, that's wasted what? Wasted energy. Get out of that stuff, dudes. I wish everyone would just stop calling us heroes. We have feelings too. We can be tired. We can be weak, etc. What is the purpose of, in the book, what's his point here? His point is this. Do your heroes go to the bathroom? Do they brush their teeth? Do they make mistakes? So our heroes, we only see one part of their life. We go right back to this. We're only seeing how much of a hero's part of their life. All of it, or just bits and pieces of it? But we judge them like, oh my gosh, this guy's got 100 million, this guy's got 500 million under management. Holy cow, he did that from scratch. Well, then if we really knew what went on with him, first of all, when I've seen somebody grow their business from 0 to 500 million, I inevitably found that they were a self-made man, or what do I find out? Because they always show you that they're a self-made man. Yeah, it could sometimes be process and hard work, but you know what I found many times when I went from 0 to 500 million? Their sister-in-law was the head of human resources at a Fortune 500 company when they right before they started laying people off. Their dad was an attorney and started to send him big clients. But when they show that they started in the business 20 years ago with nothing, and then they have 500 million, how does that make you feel? Makes you feel like what? You're like, geez, I've only got 100 million under management, and I've been in the business for 35 years. He's been in the business for 15 years, and he's got 500 million. Makes you feel like what? Like crap. A loser. Boy, that guy must be smarter than me, work harder than me, etc. But in the end, guess what we find out about our heroes? Sure, they worked hard. Sure, they did. But do they really? How many of our heroes have Superman abilities? How many of our heroes have Superman abilities? Or they're the same as us? Push comes to shove, they're just like us. It's what you do with what you have. Let your heart, not the world, define what success means to you. So we'll go back to that. If I've got $100 million under assets, am I a loser if somebody else has 500 million? What if I only make 70 grand a year? Am I a loser? No. What determines if I'm only making 70 grand a year, but I work 20 hours a week at a nonprofit to make the world a better place, however that may be, would you say that person's a loser? No. So you're only a loser, in my opinion, this is my opinion, it's not a fact. You're only a loser, which means if you're not getting better every day. If you're not getting better, making the world better every day, that's what makes a loser. It has nothing to do with how many diplomas you have, has nothing to do with how big a house you live in, has nothing to do with how much money you make. Success is where, guys? Success is you getting better every day, not stagnating. You're more successful than you think. The definition of success is the accomplishment of an aim or a purpose. So you should always in your life have what? If you want to be successful, you should always have what? A purpose. And so can it be a general purpose like, I want to get better? No, it should be what? For example, if you say, I want to lose weight, is that a very, very good? Now we're getting Kevin and Tom are saying, John saying specific. So I shouldn't say I want to lose weight. I should say what? 25 pounds in 5 months. That's really good. 25 pounds in 5 months. That's very specific. That's right. If I want to get more fit, I'll run a mile and it takes me 15 minutes. I'm going to say, I want to get faster. No, I'm going to say what? I want to get that down to 12 minutes. You want to have a purpose. Have a purpose, because otherwise, if you don't have a purpose, you're just going to wander aimlessly through life. And if you're wandering aimlessly through life, is that the definition of success? Is that the definition of happiness? No. So what is success to you? Success is shoes, lots and lots of beautiful shoes. No. Success is having goals or plans and still being happy. No. Success is having more money than your wife can spend. No. Success is a John Deere tractor with no bank loan. No. Success is having more beer than friends. So, guys, choose your success. Don't let other people choose it for you. So, fault and responsibility. This is so important. Fault and responsibility do not go together. It sucks, but they don't. When something is somebody's fault, we want them to suffer. We want them to be punished. We want them to pay, and we want it to be their responsibility to fix it. But that's not how it works. Your heart, your life, your happiness, your responsibility, and your responsibility alone. As long as we're pointing the finger and stuck in whose fault something is, we're jammed up and we're trapped into the victim mode. So when you're in the victim mode, you're stuck in suffering, and the road to power is taking responsibility. So, guys, should we ever be pointing the finger saying it's their fault, it's the economy's fault, it's the insurance company's fault? If you start doing that, again, we're back to, is that a valuable use of your time or a horrible use of your time? Be responsible for yourself. Take responsibility. If the insurance company isn't getting things done, guess what you should do? Bitch and complain. If the insurance company isn't getting something done, what should you do? Let's say, for example, you're trying to get money moved, and the insurance company is delaying things. The insurance company is, it's been 2 weeks now. What should you do? Bitch and complain about how bad the insurance company is. Yeah. Hey, I get it. The insurance company sucks. But what should we do? Well, yeah, ask for help. That's one thing. So ask EPA for help. What else could you do? I'm going to call that company 3 times a day. I'm going to write to the president of their company. What else am I going to do? I'm going to call the client every single day and tell them what I'm doing and why it still makes sense to use that company. So asking for help from EPA, being the squeaky wheel with their department, going over their head to the president, dealing with my client's frustration, not hoping they're not frustrated, instead of dealing with their frustration up front every single day. Is that going to make me feel better? It's not going to make me feel terrific, but is that going to make me feel better than sitting there whining about the company, casting blame on the company, worrying about what my client's going to do or think? Which one's better, being proactive or sitting there whining? Be proactive. Take responsibility. Do what you can. Worrying does not empty tomorrow of its troubles. It empties the day of its strength. Quit worrying and what? Quit worrying about life and what? Do something. Take action. That's right. Use the pain as fuel, as a reminder of your strength. The only person you should try to be better than is the person you were yesterday. Get better than yourself. Don't worry about everybody else. Get better than yourself. Certainty is dangerous. It breeds overconfidence, insecurity, complacency. If you say, oh, I can't, nobody's talking to me now. Oh, it's hard to market. Oh, interest rates are down. What are we going to do? If you're saying, are those certainty type things? Yes. And then once you start to say those things, you become overconfident that those are a fact, and that breeds insecurity. When you're insecure, what happens? You take action, or you get paralyzed. Get paralyzed. Don't do that. Every day, kill off your old self and create a new you. That's a little bit what? A little better. Every single day, you throw off that that skin that contains you, and you get a little bit bigger, a little bit better. Action Motivation leads to what? More motivation. When you lose that first 5 pounds, does that make you want to stop or want to make you lose 4? When you shave that first minute off your mile, does that make you want to run more or less? When you make your first million, does that make you want to work more or less? Action creates motivation, which creates more motivation. See, the most important way to start a project, first of all, is to give it a name. This was new from the book. I'd never heard of this before, but I thought, you know what, I actually do that. And at 5Q, we do that. The first thing when you start a project is give it a name. Why? Why do you want to give your project a name? I want to do a 15-minute drill every single day for the next quarter. Give that a name. Why do you want to name it? Why do you want to name it? What do you think about concrete? Yes, it makes it concrete. What do you think about somebody who hasn't named their baby after 3 months? What do you think about what's going on there? Somebody hasn't named their baby after 3 months. What do you think is going on with that person? Yeah, I think, Kevin, indecisive. I think are they committed to that baby, or does it seem like they're not committed to that baby? Commit to your baby. Commit to your project. Give it a name. Say no to multiple things so you can say yes to the one right thing. Again, we go right back to when Jeff and I were talking earlier about guys saying they're so busy, because they're saying yes to how many things? Yes to all the emails. Yes to all the people pulling at their time. Yes to all this. You should say yes to how many things at a time, guys? One thing at a time. One thing at a time. What are the 5 biggest distractions you face in your life, guys? And say, I will say no to me. I'll say no to the constant 24-hour news feeds. I will say no to eating junk food by not having it in the house. I will say no to this. I will say no to that. This is guys, do this exercise. If nothing else comes from this hour you're spending or hour and how much time we spent, that diagram that we're going to have of the slide with the whether you should worry or not worry, and this slide right here actually following through and writing that what are the 5 biggest distractions I face, and writing down, I will say no to this, I will say no to that, I will say no to that, I will say no to that, and putting that up on the wall right in front of you as well. Those 2 things will change your life. You think in a little way or a huge way? Huge way. And finally, give yourself a reason to succeed. If you want to make $1 million a year, just because, what's the likelihood you're going to do it? If you want to lose weight just because, what's the likelihood you're going to do it? If you want to be a better husband or father, just because, what's the likelihood you're going to do it? Did Rocky Balboa how disciplined was Rocky Balboa at the beginning of that movie? And how disciplined had he been for years, for decades, for a couple of decades? He was a big fat what? At the beginning of that movie, for 2 decades, he was a big fat what? Why did Mickey, his trainer, quit working with him? He was a loser. He was a slob. Why? Why was he a loser and a slob? How did he go through life? No focus. That's right. He had no focus, Bob. What happened when all of a sudden that match or fell in his lap? He now had a purpose, and what did that do to his life? Almost overnight, what did it do when he had a purpose? He became laser focused. He became a success. Now that's an allegory, but does that work that way in our lives too? Same thing happened for Iron Man. Think about losing weight again. When you have that focus, when you have a reason to lose weight, what are some reasons you could lose weight? I've seen people lose weight when they have a heart attack. All of a sudden they lose weight. when they get diabetes, all of a sudden they lose weight. Their daughter's getting married. In 6 months, they'll lose weight. I mean, but they have a reason to lose weight. If all they say is I should drop a few pounds, that does not work. Give yourself a reason to succeed. So 3 things to take from this call: that diagram of whether you have a problem and how to fix it or not fix it, or worry or not worry, and having the 5 distractions. Actually do that. Write down the 5 distractions and write down that you will not let those distract you any longer. And give yourself a reason to succeed at whatever it is that you want to do in life. Does that make sense? So is it okay when I do these, occasionally do these pep talks just based on, not on our business, but just on life and becoming a better person? Is that okay to do that on an occasional basis? I don't want to bore you if super. Good. Okay, good. Thank you. Because I think it's important sometimes just to quit talking about business and just talk about getting to be a better person. So thank you for letting me do that. Appreciate all you guys. You'll have a fabulous rest of the week, and we'll talk to you all next Monday. Thanks, everybody.